That's one small step for man.
But many.
It's just another Bronx tale.
What's up, everybody? It is Skaggs here, and I am joined by Jimbo the Kid from the Last Slice podcast, and we are about to eat a slice of doom, number 2. What's going on, Jimbo? How you doing?
What's going on, Skaggs? What's going on?
Good. Chilling. Another crazy week. Another
Yes.
slice.
We were just saying that this is the perfect time in history for a comedy.
Yeah,
because it's what you question what's normal nowadays,
right?
You know? And
yeah, you sometimes you see things that come out in the news, and you think like, right, am I in a simulation? You know, people we were saying before, like this is definitely the funniest timeline that you could be living in, because we basically are living in clown world. So.
You know, it's also, yeah, we live in clown world, but then we also have the internet. And like you were saying, like the internet is gold right now. Like it's the gold standard. I have a feeling that every time I go on, you have either trolls or satire. Someone sent the video of Bernie Sanders replacing Joe Rogan, and I couldn't watch the rest of it. I was in tears. I couldn't finish it.
Yeah, it was Bernie Sanders replacing Joe Rogan, and he was interviewing Elon Musk. And they took both interviews because they both have been on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I guess they split the screen and turned them around to face each other and cut it up so that they were having a conversation with each other. Pretty hysterical, man.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking a little bit before we started this about how like comedy, and this is the funniest time, like you're saying. And there are a lot of funny people on the internet that are not comedians. Like you don't have to be a stand-up comedian to be a funny person. You could be extremely funny by making memes. Our buddy Catalyst Jones, he makes a ton of memes, of just random stuff that happens, or you can make a video meme. People are fucking funny, dude. And the internet, that's one of the positives, I guess you could say, of the internet. It gives people an outlet of how they can like share their creativity and be funny in a way that you never could before. That's one of the positives. Usually we only talk about the negatives.
Yeah. And these people should be protected at all costs, because they definitely get me through my day. Some of these people are creative, man, and they really, when they post up like crazy memes or crazy TikToks where it's just funny, man, it's just pure, you get that like jolt of happiness, man. That's what I just enjoy it every single day. That's what I look at. The internet does have this dark side. It's miserable, depressed people. I try to like weed my way through, and man, you get some gold. You get some gold.
You can, man. I know you are too. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan.
Yeah.
And I used to be in a group on, I've talked about it before on a podcast, called Fool of a Took Posting. It was on Facebook, and it was a Lord of the Rings meme page. Mm-hmm. But boy, it was fucking woke as shit.
Really?
All right. Yes. And it was majority all like crazy woke leftist people, whatnot. And they were pretty funny, though, in terms of Lord of the Rings. They'd make good, funny fucking Lord of the Rings memes sometimes. And then it started to get very political as well, but from the left. And I'm in this group kind of out of place, seeing the stuff, and I try not to ruffle any feathers because I'm just there for Fool of a Took Poster for memes. But long story short, the group actually ended up shutting down last week. And they made a post because the moderators and the administrators were so worn out from having to content moderate the page that they just couldn't handle the amount of stress and workload anymore. So they had to permanently shut down the page. It's a fucking Facebook meme page. And it's predominantly everybody echo chamber of the exact same political sphere. And it's about Lord of the Rings memes. And they were so stressed out. And, I don't know. They just had to literally shut down the pit. It was disappointing because I enjoyed it. Usually people say the left can't meme, right? But they could kind of, they could meme when it came to the Lord of the Rings. And now they couldn't even do that. They had to shut
Yeah.
down the page. The one page that I enjoyed of leftist memes.
Now, was it because everything was getting like flagged or whatever by Facebook, or was it because
Nothing
people
was getting flagged in this group, bro. Nothing. Everything is from the point of view of the left in that fool of a took posting group. So nothing ever got flagged. And majority of it was just strictly Lord of the Rings topic stuff. Sometimes they throw in a political whatnot. I don't know. Their brains fried from the responsibility of content moderation. As we're going to talk about, I'm sure that the world has gone mad in terms of censorship and moderation to the point where these people are so strictly, heavily moderating and restricting themselves that they are going crazy and they have to shut down what they're doing.
Self-censorship is really a serious thing, and we overlook it because I heard an interesting conversation. I forgot what I was listening to. It was an interview, definitely a podcast, and they were talking about self-censorship. And I've caught myself doing that a couple of times because you have to be within the guidelines of YouTube, or whether that be audio, or whether that just be society will criticize you and try to cancel you for saying certain things. Yes, there's things that should be off the table. There's some things that people do say that I don't agree with, but they have the full right to say it, and sometimes it's like the small things. Like I'm like should I edit that out, or should I keep that in? Should I take it out? And that's wrong, because it's supposed to be an open dialogue between a couple people. And that's dangerous. And I'm trying not to do that anymore. So especially with our show, with the last slice, I'm trying not to do that as much anymore. Keep it open, because everybody is expressing their opinion, whether that be them joking around or whatever. And there are certain things, like I said, so that I think that it's like a absolute line where you don't cross on certain things and certain topics. So, but
yeah, I agree with you. I myself personally, I think the only two lines people shouldn't cross are like calls to violence and doxing on individuals. Otherwise, in my opinion, everything else is fair game. I'm not going to agree with a lot of hate speech or whatever disgusting shit people are going to say, but I always like to use the analogy of like shine a light on the cockroaches. If someone's going to come out and say some disgusting, hateful shit, good, because I'm going to see who that person is and know who they are. And instead, if you self-censor, or if like if a government entity or Spotify or whoever moderates and deletes people from the conversation, then you don't know who's who. It's not, it doesn't make sense. Plus, then also, who becomes the arbiter of truth? And how far, what is hate speech exactly at the end of the day? It's subjective. To a certain extent. But yeah, man, I know what you mean about like self-censorship and whatnot. Obviously, us doing political stuff all the time, we try not to self-censor at all, but at the same time, you have to be tactical being on YouTube. There are a million important topics to talk about, and you don't want to get your channel banned because you talked about something that's violating the community guidelines. And the community guidelines could be completely bullshit, right? But you have to know what they are. It's stupid to get banned because you said something knowingly going against the rules in a way. You know what I mean? Then your channel's gone, and then you can't say anything. And I look at YouTube as like a battlefield, kind of, in a way. And you never cede ground that you haven't lost until you've fought, to the last man on it. So if there is stuff that I want to talk about that I know is going to be crazy, and YouTube will probably take it down or give us a channel strike or something, I'll just put that shit on Rumble. They don't for now. They don't do anything, and the audio platforms are great too. They don't seem to like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. They don't seem to content moderate really yet.
Yeah,
but, it's always.
I haven't ran into anything on the audio side from Spotify, Apple Podcast, nothing. But YouTube, yes, haven't gotten the strike. Definitely got a lot. Every episode is copyrighted.
That's probably because of the music.
Some is music. I know for a fact. Like when we're in real time, like I said, I'm not gonna edit everything out. Like I'm gonna keep it in. Listen, we're small enough. We're not really making money right now. It's not affecting us. So I'll keep it in there. We'll get the copyright, statement or whatever. But yeah, it's like Yeah, like you said, it's like a minefield, bro. It's like you have to be tactile with it. And I'll tell you, all the battles that I've lost was with TikTok. And
Oh
we
yeah, yeah.
have talked about this. So me and Skaggs would text each other, and we would show like ridiculous, like they'll take you down, they'll block you, they'll remove the audio and keep the video up, or to completely block you worldwide, where your video is now not gaining any traction. And then you can appeal it, but by the time that they approve it, which is in a day or two, it's gone. Like it's not even on anybody's feed.
Right. It's out of it lost its going viral ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best part about that is that once that happens, you're sitting there and it's like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, this is a funny video. This is not even anything political. Like, this is, I remember I posted up a video of a of a guy on a train going by the platform and smacks the guy in the face and just kept going. But they were friends. It was pretty funny, And I was like, oh, this is funny. Let me repost this. Completely blocked, shut down. But it was
Did they
supposed
say
to
it
be
was
for a joke.
violence?
Yeah, it was like showing images of violence, but it's like you're determining violence like this is a joke, like they're all laughing, like
Yeah.
it's just it's stupid,
Yeah, we had our entire TikTok, account, Two Doom Men, completely banned. We had 10 violations, appealed 9 out of 10, won 9 out of 10, and then out of nowhere, I signed on one day. It's like, you've been banned for repeated community guideline violations. Meanwhile, I appealed and overturned and won 9 out of 10. But yeah, like, that's all based upon political leanings. They on TikTok, they are like highlighting and encouraging young people, especially, to do like twerking videos and the hype house and all this shit. But if you share the news, or if you share a differing political opinion to the left, let's just say it that way, I hate the labels, you're not long for TikTok. It was definitely the most heavily directly obviously censored social media platform, I'd say, because they'll just straight up ban your shit and pull down your video at the slightest infraction, as opposed to the American companies, Facebook, Instagram, it's Twitter. They'll shadow ban you first before they straight up pull your shit down. So, I mean, I don't know, which one do you think is honestly worse? Do you think it's worse to be heavily shadow banned and then you're like posting things you don't know that it's not working, or would you rather just know straight up you've been banned?
Wow, that's a good question. Oh man,
I
would just say, yeah, like what
options, but
yeah, it's picking the lesser of two evils. It's like I would say maybe just ban me. Ban me. I would rather you ban me. I create another account and then start it up again and try to be like, make a comeback. But at the same time, this is the thing. This is not okay. These conversations are not okay, because it's like, yeah, there are some people that deserve to be banned if they're promoting violence or they're putting graphic content up, and it's like, yeah, like why are you gonna post certain things like that, where like World Star Hip Hop, they had a page for a while, but some of it was okay for a while, and then I guess I don't follow them anymore, but like some of that content was like crazy, but also it's viewer discretion.
Right. Me and you have made the point a million times. I remember like right around when we were starting to get a lot of stuff pulled on TikTok, me and you would share back and forth, and we'd be laughing photos of girls with like their tits out, with their asses out, girls with the silhouette videos. And they were like, yeah, this is okay, but God forbid I cover the news. That's what I did most of the time on the TikTok, was like something happened in the news, I'd screen record it, I'd share it to TikTok and be like, this happened, and then it'd get banned.
And your TikTok was popping though too,
it
bro.
Was, yeah.
You hit like 1 million views on some of your posts, man. You guys were doing it, dude. And I
don't care about. I don't care. Yeah, right. It did, right. I don't care about the TikTok and about it becoming popular. It's not about that. It's about trying to share the news and show people what the fuck's going on. And these social media platforms and whatnot, they're just vehicles to do that, to communicate with people. And it's frustrating that, yeah, like and
you weren't posting anything bad, like it wasn't anything. You were literally saying the truth. You were like, this doesn't make sense,
right?
Like, look at this. You basically was like, look at how dumb this shit is right here, essentially.
Yeah, exactly,
and
right.
Goodbye,
banned. Yeah, Yeah, it's outrageous, dude. You can't, like I said, that's the most obvious heavily moderated platform. The other, we're shadow banned on all the other ones too, without a doubt. But at least we have. If you asked me the same question I asked you before, I would rather maybe be shadow banned because you could still communicate. Then you're not just erased from the conversation completely. Like you could fight back. There's ways to game the algorithm. And you could still gain a little tiny following, maybe even against the odds of being shadow banned. We've kind of proven that with our buddies in the Patriot podcast group too. So yeah, man, let's get into our first video here and main topic, which I wanted to talk about, which is Whoopi Goldberg. And boy, Whoopi Goldberg, she is in some trouble. And the trouble is based around what we're talking about, right? Which it's she made some comments that were controversial, and she has now been suspended from The View for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what the premise of this conversation was exactly on The View. I don't watch The View. I think it's an awful show. They have the worst takes of anybody of all time. It's completely trash. But so I'm prejudiced in terms of The View, but let's listen to what Whoopi Goldberg has to say.
You misogynistic person, huh?
Yeah, I know, right? So they're talking about the Holocaust for some reason. And Whoopi Goldberg makes some comments, which I'm going to play for you guys right now. I just want to make sure you can hear it. Let me know if you can hear it once it plays, Jamie.
Gotcha.
Well, also, if you're going to
good.
do this, then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
Ethnicity.
Well, they
No,
consider
it's
Jews
about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about
Well,
race.
what is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy. It's
Well,
about
but
going
it's not-
after
it's
Jews
not about
ideal
and
race.
gypsies
It's-
and
but these are two
Romans.
white groups of people.
Well, they
How
were
do we
after black
but
They
people,
didn't see
too.
them as white.
And they were
But
after
you're missing the
homosexuals.
point. You're
Yeah.
missing the point.
Yeah.
The minute you turn it into race, it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other. It's a problem. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, because black, white, Jews, everybody eats each other. So if you're uncomfortable, if you hear about mouse, should you be worried? Should your child say, oh my God, I wonder if that's me? No, that's not what they're gonna say. They're gonna say, I don't wanna be like that.
Well, hopefully.
I want to be cool.
Yeah.
They're trying to send her
most
to
kids, most
commercial,
kids,
get her
they
fuck out of
don't
here.
want to be cruel.
No, they don't.
And we're living in an era where people are comparing vaccine cards to the yellow stars, where people are comparing vaccinations to what Anne Frank went through.
Yeah.
So it is necessary for kids to learn about
They
the
have
Holocaust.
to. And by the way,
Learn about man's inhumanity to man, however it exposes itself. I have to cut you off.
I just want to say that mouse was banned and it flew to top 20 of Amazon's rules last week, of charts.
Yes.
People, the more you
All right. So for saying essentially that as soon as that started, the first line about how the Holocaust is not about race. And actually, I remember now they were having a larger conversation about this book called Mouse, and has something to do with the Holocaust. And I think it's been banned in school or something like that. And that's why they were on the topic of the Holocaust. But what do you think, Jimbo, about what she said?
Here's my view on the whole situation. Like I said, I don't really know the context of why. I mean, because everything nowadays is short little 30-second clips, whatever, and people pass judgment way too early. But this is what I think about the whole situation is she is now suspended for 2 weeks, right? And there's people who've been canceled for certain things that they've said similar to that, or maybe they said something that's controversial and they've been completely deplatformed. I think that it's okay for her to voice her opinion, right? Everybody is now also too. It's just funny, they try to out woke each other on that show.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
they did. Yeah.
So it's like she took it to another level of
Right.
wokeness, right? And then people like even on the panel who are really liberal are like,
Really woke.
whoa, whoa,
Right.
whoa, whoa,
Whoa.
whoa, whoa, what are
Well,
we
they
doing
started
here?
playing the music to try and get him out of there. Like,
Yeah, it's like the awards, it's Academy Awards where it's
Just
the acceptance
shush
speech.
him
It's
off the
yeah,
stage. Yeah.
yeah. The next day we're gonna take the shepherd's staff and just yank her by the neck. But I listen. I am I'm pro freedom of speech. Like she has the right to say that. And hey, listen, that's her idea of what the Holocaust is. It did happen because of race, but I do understand what she's saying on a deeper level. She does have a point that humanity can be sometimes evil and disgusting. I agree with that. But to say that it's not had nothing to do with race, it's like, well, they were all Jewish and it was 6 million people who passed away from it. So yeah, like,
Right.
yeah, what are you trying to say here? But I get in the sense what she was trying to say. Do I think she should have been suspended for 2 weeks? I'm an eye for an eye. If you deplatform someone and you are that person who's consistently going after people, the minute you mess up, goodbye.
Right.
Goodbye. You this is your life. You made your life into canceling
Right.
people and to start up all this fire. You should be gone, right? But that's my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's be real. The View, Whoopi, they've made their careers, especially recently, on trying to cancel people and advocating for people to get canceled. Especially Joe Rogan recently, right? This whole Spotify thing with him is up in the news. So I ain't gonna shed a fucking tear for Whoopi Goldberg.
Nope.
You are what you eat, and she wanted to make an eating reference, right? But at the same time, I agree with you, right? I don't agree with her original statement. She's either completely ignorant of World War II and the Holocaust and the Nazis' goals, or she's being misleading, or maybe she just misspoke. But at the same time, I don't think we should punish people for like wrong think the way that they want to punish people for wrong think or saying the wrong thing. The Holocaust and the Nazi regime, it was about race. It was a clearly stated goal by the Nazis and by Adolf Hitler that the Germans were the master race of the world, blonde hair, blue eyes. They were going to, take over the whole planet and shape the human race into their, vision of the race. And eliminating the Jews was part of that, obviously. So it was about race with 100%. You can look it up in any textbook. It's not fake history. I understand she makes some good points actually as well, that it is also, yes, definitely about the inhumanity of man on man. Yes, like that is a fucking problem. How, human beings could become just monsters like that, the way that the Nazis did. But at the same time, you see, yeah, they even later on in that conversation were like, no, a lot of people are trying to draw comparisons nowadays to the Nazis, and that's not allowed. I mean, they again in the same conversation revert back to wrong think, policing speech in the same conversation.
And now the View is trying to outwoke each other,
right,
in person. So now they're going after and attacking each other. It's like, whoa, what are you saying here now?
In the panel
itself.
Yeah. Right. All right. So I'm okay with that because that's the way discussions are supposed to be had. One person says something,
I agree.
Another person gives their counterpoint. That's what we try and do here on podcasts all the time. And you could completely disagree with what Whoopi Goldberg says, like I do and like you do. But at the same time, me and you have no problem with what she said. So I don't think she should have been banned for 2 weeks. I'm doing a podcast right now and I'm shitting on her for what she said because I think she's wrong, but I don't think she should be censored.
Yeah.
Or, because she said the wrong thing. It's just, it's interesting to me that she actually did get banned for 2 weeks. There's maybe some sacred cows that can't be slain, even from the left, from her position of the left. I don't know if there's more behind that, or some people can maybe read between the lines. It is interesting that they actually decided to kick her off.
Now, can I ask you a question though? Yeah. Do you think at this point we say the left and like the far left and these and these people, they banned her? Like, who's really banning her?
Well,
corporation.
who banned her in
right?
this is ABC, right? Whoever.
Yeah, it's a corporation,
Mhm.
right? Because they're trying to side to the narrative and to the agenda. But wouldn't we try to just single out corporations within itself because they are the ones who are doing the banning and the deplatforming and the censorships?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if like ABC has got an order from somebody or was told, was recommended by somebody. Maybe that's kind of what I was alluding to before. Maybe a lobby or some powerful entity didn't like what she said and they said, you better do something, right? Or maybe ABC is self-censoring, just like we talked about before. And they're like, oh man, fuck, she shouldn't have said that. We got to punish her now because we can't allow something that bad to be said on our platform. So, a corporation itself could self-censor, and a lot of them do. I've talked about fascism before and how it's like the merger between corporation and state. We're in a new form of fascism here where it's not as directly linked as the Nazis did it, where they had their industry was directly working together with the state. Now it's more in terms of like, what you have to do. Otherwise, the government or the forces that be, the entities are going to come after you. So it's kind of like it is a better strategy too because it's less obvious that it is. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's behind it. I don't agree with her getting banned. But
But here's the thing: with the outwoken each other is that they were fucking together. Going around canceling people like this white knights that are coming in and they all banding together and now they're slowly turning in on each other. And it's like, whoa, what's going on here? But I do agree that she shouldn't be banned or suspended for 2 weeks. That's her opinion. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
We shouldn't police wrong think, right?
Yes.
As long as you're not she wasn't advocating for the Holocaust. She was she had a shitty understanding of history. And I think real quick, I was trying to make a point before I kept forgetting it. I think what Oprah, I'm sorry.
There canceled.
That's it. Cancel me now.
Episode 2
Cancel
is
me.
done. We are never coming back. That's it. I'm canceling us.
That was the last slice.
That was the slice of doom.
I think what Whoopi is looking, maybe her worldview or the way she's looking at this is through the lens of critical race theory, where she sees everything as race, but through the way that she's been taught about race. So to her point, I think she says later on, she sees race as like white person and black person. In my view, I almost kind of agree with the original idea behind critical race theory, not what it's become now. But I guess you could say one of the original ideas behind it is that race is a construct. It's invented by human beings. Race is not a real thing. Ethnicity is completely different. Ethnicity is like, you're Puerto Rican, I'm Italian, somebody is German, and somebody is African, right? Or somebody's from South Africa. Race doesn't seem to make sense because it can definitely shift. It could shift. Like you could be considered white now, right? The critical race theorists are the ones who push this shit. They've, sometimes Asian people are considered white. Sometimes they're considered minorities. That's bullshit. That's a made up construct of humans. And I like to equate it actually to Pluto, right? Pluto used to be a planet. Now it's not. It could be again in the future. Maybe they'll change their mind and say it's a planet. But what is Pluto really at the end of the day? It's a fucking conglomeration of minerals and rocks in a circle. That's all it is. It's not a planet. It's not a dwarf planet. It's just material. The idea of a planet is a human construct in the same way that the idea of race is a human construct.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, it's a valid point. It's a valid point. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, man. I don't know. This is because I'm glad you brought up this point because it's a valid point. And I've been past couple of days, maybe a week or so. I'm just like everything now is just involving race. Everything. The way you could just use that word racism. This
lost its meaning almost.
You're doing a disservice to the actual meaning of racism and the people who actually endure racism.
You're telling me she can't admit that the Holocaust was about race? Right? Yeah, literally, you're seeing it right in front of your eyes.
Yeah,
because the words have been so distorted by wokeism They don't even understand what the fuck they're talking about anymore. I don't think Whoopi is like a gung-ho critical race theorist, Marxist lunatic. She's just an elite person who wants to say whatever is popular right now. And she probably was told, you know, the most basic bullet points of critical race theory. And says, okay, yeah, it kind of makes sense. I'll go along and whatever. But yeah, that doesn't. I mean, come on, it's right there in fucking front of you.
Yeah,
It's actually a bit of a white pill that people were so outraged about what she said to an extent. I don't like that she got canceled, but shit, at least some people are like, yeah, man, that don't make no fucking sense.
Yeah, like right now in this current atmosphere, like people want to look way too deep into definitions and go like we have the definitions that are written right now, and they want to go beyond the definition and try to go in depth into being like, well, yeah, racism is, just the white male patriarchy from back in, this, and it's like, no, racism is what the definition is, showing hate to a specific group of people,
right? Because
like
they
that's
are
it.
different, because they are a different group of people, right?
Yeah, like that's what racism is, and like I said, I'm very adamant about it. You're doing a disservice of people who actually endured racism, like the people who they dealt with it back in the day, like, and I always, when I think of like racism, I always think of Jackie Robinson, like what he endured playing in baseball.
Oh yeah,
and to become the best baseball player that we've seen in MLB, and he had to go through a lot, and there was others before him that did as well, but he was like the prime example of like people literally hated him because of his skin color, but then grew to like him because of the player he was. Like, it really is a great story with him, and that's why I always go towards him. It's like you're doing a disservice to the Jackie Robinsons, you're doing a disservice to the MLKs by saying racism, like this is racism, the systemic racism, this, they're racism. Like, no, now we're just throwing that word out like nothing.
Right. It's become
Which is
now racist. Now literally racist. All it means is you don't think exactly the same way that I think. That's what it means. That's literally all it means. It doesn't actually have anything to do with race or whatnot anymore. I don't even really believe in the concept, like I was saying before, of race to begin with. But boy, man, this is. I mean, we could go down a rabbit hole here about what's behind all that. We don't got enough of time for that. But it's funny that this actually even happened, because earlier last week, the Anti-Defamation League changed the definition of racism on their website from hating people on the basis of skin, and to basically discrimination that's from like the white colonial power structure, something along the lines. I forgot exactly what it is, but they changed it from the actual meaning, I guess you could say, of what racism is to the woke version, which is something that Whoopi there was espousing when she was talking.
So now, wouldn't you say that definition? Can you do me a favor? Can you pull up that definition? What they actually put. I want to dissect it a little bit, because wouldn't you say if they are blaming white colonialism, wouldn't you say within that definition of racism, that definition is actually racist?
Could be, but that's anti-racism.
Because now you're specifically targeting one group of people. No. Aren't you not?
Yeah, that is the premise of anti-racism. And we could go, like I said, we could go down this rabbit hole.
Does that make sense? I don't know. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking way too into a definition. But now we're bending definitions to definitely further a type of narrative and agenda that they're trying to push, and it's just very unfortunate to people who actually suffered racism throughout time. Because just to say, you didn't get a job because you believe that the organization is racist, you have no evidence of that, and that's a bold statement.
Yeah, that's an interesting story going on right now too in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find it. It's like they erased it from the internet. There was a photo showing the two side by side, the exact definition change. But yeah, man, I don't know. You want to talk about that real quick? I
real quick.
So it is Brian Flores, I believe, in the NFL. and he is suing the Giants, and he's suing multiple other teams. I think all the teams in the NFL,
Yeah.
and it's like a 68-page lawsuit. I read the first like 2 or 3 pages of it. Some interesting stuff in there. He's got some legitimate beefs in there, but essentially he is suing the Giants and the NFL, saying that the league is racist because of multiple different statistical factors and how there's like almost no African American coaches. He was scheduled to interview with the Giants last week. I think it was on Thursday, and he gets a text from Bill Belichick, the coach of the Patriots, on like Tuesday. He was supposed to interview on Thursday. Gets a text from Bill Belichick on Tuesday, congratulating him on getting the job with the Giants. And he's like, "We're talking about, coach. I haven't gone for the interview yet." And he's like, "Oh shit, sorry man, I fucked up." Bill Belichick says. The Giants eventually end up hiring Brian Daboll as the coach. So they both had the same first name. Obviously, Bill Belichick probably heard something through the grapevine and then just congratulated the wrong Brian. Why Brian Flores has a beef here is because obviously he was supposed to interview on Thursday, and the decision was made before he even got to the interview. Yeah. So he comes out with this whole lawsuit over the weekend, saying, about how the league is racist, and he's claiming all this stuff, which has been a conversation going on for a long time in the league. How there's not like, like really any black ownership. How this is in his lawsuit too. Some of it, how like 70% of the player base is African American, but a significant minority of the coaching staff is African American. How like it's not like representative of how many players are African American. It should be. That should carry over into coaching, because obviously as a player gets older, they have the knowledge, the experience, they should be able to coach. So how come most of the coaching staff is like white or not African American? So I mean, it's interesting. I actually think it's a good thing that this is going into a lawsuit, because it has the possibility of going into, I don't think it's going to go that far, but it could go into a discovery period where maybe we could get to the bottom of what's going on. Why are those statistics so lopsided? But at the same time, I want to point out the obvious, right? The ownership of the National Football League is like 99.9% old, rich, billionaire white guys, right? That is fucking obvious. I don't know them personally. I kind of know the Maras just a little bit. I went to high school with one of them. Nice guy. Wasn't racist at all. But he's not the owner. He's just part of the family. So I don't know anything past that. I'm not going to say that they're racist. I don't know. But let's just be real, right? Billionaire, elitist, rich. They probably are prejudiced, right? I would think. But in terms of the Giants, on the same page, they had a black general manager, Jerry Reese, just a few years ago, right? Running the whole show. No problem. He was, Giants royalty, won 2 Super Bowls with them. Mm-hmm. There is also a rule in place by the NFL that you have to interview when you're on a head coaching interview, when you're interviewing people, when you're looking to hire a new head coach, you have to interview. I believe the rule is, could be wrong on the amount, you have to interview at least, I think, 2 African American candidates for the job. Okay. That I think is what the problem is. As messed up as this is going to sound, maybe they just didn't want to hire Brian Flores, right? But because they have to follow these rules, they have to interview African American candidates, they got to throw token interviews to people. Could be that they knew as soon as the season was over, and as soon as they hired Schoen as the general manager, it could have been they knew immediately. We know who our guy is. We know it's Brian Daboll. We've done the research for years on him. We've always wanted him to be the coach. But now we got the general manager. That is the guy. But because of the rule, you still have to interview 2 African American candidates. So you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's almost a rule that puts you in between a rock and a hard place. Yeah. And it looks kind of fucked up because you're throwing a bullshit token fake interview to 2 guys. But at the same time, it's not. I guess maybe the league, the owners agree to those rules, but that's just like a shitty rule.
I got a question for you. Do you think that there is some type of subtle racism within the league itself, like between ownership and the organizations. Would you say that some organizations do have a tendency of being a little bit racist?
Well, that would depend on the leadership and the ownership, right, and
Yeah.
their personal worldview. I'm not going to go out and say outright racism, or like I'm going to make the point I was making
Prejudice. I'm
before.
sorry, like
Are
not
these
racism.
right? Are these old, rich, billionaire white dudes a little bit prejudiced? Yeah, probably. Right? Have they gotten maybe better as they got older? Maybe. Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility. At the same time, is this scenario that Brian Flores didn't get a job because of racism? Probably not, in my opinion. Probably has to do with the Giants had to throw
Qualifications.
not even qualifications. The Giants probably had their guy, but they
Yeah.
still had to follow the rules and interview other people, even if they had no intention of
Yeah.
doing it. You know, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I do like that he's bringing up the lawsuit. Maybe we'll find something out, but I don't think we'll find anything out because I think they'll probably just settle out of court and make the whole thing go away because it's bad publicity. They don't want assholes like us, you know,
Talking
taking a
about
look
it.
under the hood and
Yeah.
talking about it. Yeah.
Because that's the NFL for you. They have to keep everything hush hush, especially everything with the CTE and stuff like that. No, so
Yeah, right. That's a good point. Right.
Yeah.
They've done stuff like that before. Hush, hush.
there was a whole movie about that they try to hush a doctor who's trying to get down to the root of problems, why guys are committing suicide or having these acts of aggressions toward outside the league. And this is happening every year. There's a headline story of an ex NFL player. Like, look at the last guy who beat the crap out of his girlfriend and threw her into the fucking TV. That was hard to watch.
Yes.
And, yeah, that was a brutal beatdown that he gave on his ex-wife or his wife at the time. But back to the whole prejudice. There's some organizations that still haven't had a black quarterback or African American quarterback. And is that because whatever it's there, it's just
right. It seems likely in that scenario. Yes, that definitely has something to do with it, right? Because every why not? It doesn't make any sense to me. They're all humans, right? Everybody's capable of playing every position. African Americans make up 70% of the player base. They're obviously more than physically able to do it. So right, that doesn't make any sense. That's there's not. It's not even in some way.
I think he's just using this as an opportunity to address a bigger issue. Maybe he's just tired of being told that you're the guy, and then he's getting passed over every single time. Because we don't know if this is his one and only, or this is multiple chances where teams have reached out to him to do interviews because of that rule. And maybe he's getting tired now because he still keeps getting passed over. And he's like, wait, there's an issue here. What's going on? And he's probably wants to get some answers here. And I do agree. I agree with you. I think it's a good thing that he's starting this lawsuit and trying to get to the root of the issue of as to why he either is getting passed over or, why is. And at the end of the day, it's all about the stats. It's all about statistics. If the statistics is on your side, proving that there is something there's a prejudice there. Hey, you know what? Why not expose them?
Maybe at the same time, you could make the reverse argument for why is the player base 70% African American? It's not directly proportional of our composition of like ethnicity and racial makeup in the United States. So could we say that it's it's racist against white people because the player base is 70% African American? No, we can't say that, right? That's outside the rules. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm just saying if you want to play the statistics game, well, then that statistic doesn't really make sense either, right? Because if you really wanted to think about it, it should match the percentages of who does what jobs and match the percentages of the population, right?
Yeah.
Of course, there's different factors behind that. Not everybody's born in the exact same place at the exact same time. Some people are more privileged than others, right? But I don't know. Statistics are not exactly as cut and dry as people make them out to be either. There's more to it. So I think it's a good thing, but we'll see. My opinion, my final thing I say, it's going to end up in the lawsuit. He'll make a bunch of money and he'll be happy.
Yeah. And then Roger Goodell's be like, all right, get out of here. You're done.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if fucking Brian Daboll ends up going 0-16 or whatnot, then I'm going to be without a doubt being like, we should have given Brian Flores a fucking shot.
I said I
don't care what the coach looks like. I care about winning.
At this point,
it doesn't matter to me. I want the best person for a job to do the thing so I could have a good time. And that's what I'm sure everybody else is thinking for most part.
I say if the Giants start off with a rough spot, man, and they keep losing, I'm going there with the Flores like big head signs. and just go into the crowd and just walk like dude with the sign, like
Maybe, yeah,
Instagram,
right.
and just hold his
Wrong-
face up.
We hired the
Wrong
Brian.
right?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah,
Just
All
shove
right.
it in their face.
All right, everybody. That is part 1 of A Slice of Doom. We are going to hop on to the Last Slice podcast now and do part 2. Jamie, you want to tease everybody? What are we cooking a little bit?
So we are cooking. I have a couple of articles. I have one article that I found that's absolute gold. I'm going to talk about a little bit of Super Bowl and more football stuff, but not the football stuff that you think about our pals Newsom and Garcetti. That's a little bit hot water because I find it absolutely funny. But we're going to get
football.
The political football for the NFL. Hop over there and check it out.
Yeah,
it'll be a good one.
Where can they find it?
The Last Slice podcast is the Doughboys channel. You can find it on a Slice of Doom tab, and that will be part 2. So make sure to hop on over.
Look in the caption below. Later, everybody.
Later.